Ladies and gentlemen, there's a little more detail coming out about Cordarius Sledge, who was an inmate back in 2015, and exactly what happened with him in the hands of Demetrius Haley and another CO that beat on him, and he was beaten unconscious. Now, they said they did try to reach out to him for comment, but he wouldn't comment. I mean, he's an ex-con. He's probably afraid of being retaliated on. I don't blame him. If you got beaten to the point where you were unconscious by a CO, and now that CO is on the police force or was on the police force, yeah, because this is what cops do. He's an ex-con. Look how easy it is for them to put innocent people, trumping up charges on them just to get them behind bars. He's an ex-con. It would be easy for them to lie on this man and get him put right back in there. So he's not really talking, and I understand why. I don't blame him. So it goes into a little more detail about former officer Demetrius Hale, who was also accused of the murder of Tyree Nichols, of beating up an inmate as he worked at that time back in 2015 as a corrections officer. So there was a lawsuit, and the lawsuit was thrown out by a judge. And he said that, he could have beaten him to death. And it said, as my body still hurts from that beating, I'm going to hurt for life. So we know Haley was one of five police officers. And by the way, when you go to the video, it was that white officer, Preston Hemphill, that violently was pulling Tyree out of the car, and he tased him. He actually got the violence against him started. He got the whole thing started in the violence. So, and y'all saw how some of these folks came over here trying to defend him. Just look at what they did. They tried to defend Preston Hemphill, showed no compassion or empathy for what happened to Tyree. You just go back and look at their comments. They show no compassion. Their goal was just to defend Preston Hemphill. Unbelievable. The devil is still around us. So anyway, let's get back to this. So the officers, um, we know got caught up and literally got caught beating on Tyree. There's so much footage is not even funny. So we know about the video being released and everything, but I mean, look, y'all, this happened. He tried to do something about it through the courts, and the court said he didn't properly serve people. But how is he supposed to properly serve somebody behind bars? So I guess that's how much, the courts get involved to make sure those lawsuits, a lot of those lawsuits from inmates probably don't go nowhere for that reason. Because you got a judge sitting on the bench telling him, well, you didn't properly serve everybody. Like, how are they going to do that from a cell? They can't. So that was the reason he got out of everything. Can you imagine if somebody would have allowed that case to go forward? Maybe things would have turned out different for Tyree Nichols, you know? But this is what happens when you got judges on the bench that won't do their jobs, and you got prosecutors that won't do their job, and the whole system is so corrupt and so messed up, and so the whole system got blood on their hands. The only thing you can do with this lousy crap they got set up in this country as a criminal justice system is dismantle the whole thing. You cannot reform this garbage that's in place with the same people there. That is just completely asinine. That is not reform at all if the same people are going to still be around. That's messing it all up in the first place. Oh boy. So let's get back to this former inmate. He said his face was slammed into a sink. He said that it started with them punching on him. Then he got picked up and his head was slammed into a sink. And he said at that point he blacked out. The former inmate said that when he woke up after blacking out during the attack, he woke up in his bed and said blood was pouring out of his ear. There was so much blood on the pillow he was laying on. He said his right ear is damaged for life. Unbelievable that you did someone like that. So Sledge told the Post he received only an apology from the Department of Corrections, but they literally didn't do nothing to Haley. That's all he got was an apology. An apology, y'all. And that's it. And he got accused, all of that, because he was accused of having contraband and getting rid of the contraband. Remember, Haley is part of the same, he was part of the same Scorpion unit. And they said that's all this unit did was run around and accuse everybody of being on drugs. They even accused a whole bunch of people that never were drug users as being on drugs. But that's why they did all of that to him. So he said his ear is damaged for the rest of his life. So the incident didn't seem to impact any of the correction officers' careers that were involved. In fact, he said later they were moved to the police department in 2020. So that's how Haley ended up on the police department from being a CO. Mm-mm-mm. So he said, the only thing that he said recently, he was shocked to hear Haley's name, but he never got heavily into anything. And I think, when the video and everything came out, I was looking at another story and they said he would not comment. He would not comment. So it does look like he did say a little something here, but he did say he could not believe when all of the stuff unfolded. He saw the same cop, Haley, that knocked him out from, after beating on him as one of the officers to murder Tyree Nichols. See, he did say he was shocked to see the same guy. So, look, y'all, it's just like we have said before about cops that get fired, how they just reassign them to another county or they pick up a job in maybe the next town over. We've been saying that all along. And as you can see, they brutalized uh, Cordarius when he was an inmate, and nothing happened to them. Nothing. They went on and became cops. So there were no consequences. So I can kind of see where Demetrius Haley might have went overboard, but they said they went overboard with everybody, the Scorpion unit he was involved in. But in order for these cops to do what they did to Tyree Nichols, it just goes to show you they've been getting along with their policing like that the entire time. When Ben Crump was doing a press conference, there was a 60-year-old black man that got beat up by the same cops. And they accused him of being on drugs. And this man said he don't do drugs. But he got beat up by the same Scorpion unit that murdered Tyree Nichols. So those guys been going around doing this for years. And they figured they got away with it all this time. They were going to continue to get away with it. Plain and simple. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this story. It just gives a little more detail than what we got on the first story that came out about this incident when Cordarius Sledge was an inmate at Shelby County Division of Corrections back in May of 2015. That's when the attack on him occurred. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.